Hey friends, what's happening? Big Dog Ethan here. I have an awesome person I'm very excited to talk to. Grant Smith. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Really excited to be talking to you again. I first met Grant at a March for Medicare for All protest in Little Rock, Arkansas. And again, thanks for showing up to that. I again really appreciated that because it's an issue that's very important to me for personal reasons right now, and also just for the objective statistical reasons. Of course, you guarantee that people can have access to health care. It's something that's very important to me. So the first thing that I want to get, oh yeah, and I should also mention too, by the way, it's the important thing I haven't mentioned yet. You're running for state representative in Arkansas, District 77, right?
Correct. Correct.
All right, District 77. So I guess first off, just tell me why do you want to run? Why do you think people should vote for you?
Well, my main thing was seeing all the discriminatory laws passed in 2021.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I'm just like, where is people that are going to stand up for this kind of discrimination? Because I was always raised to where you respect everybody regardless of your differences. So, you know what? Whenever I saw that, I always went to those different rallies and stuff like that to stand up for people that are being discriminated against because everybody deserves to be respected no matter what.
Um so it sounds like you've got a history of going to rallies, protests, that sort of thing, which I think that's great. It means you're getting out on the street and getting out and meeting people who are also concerned about all the issues that we're seeing in our government right now. Can you just name one rally that you really that really that was really memorable to you, and also name, actually, let me be more specific. Can you tell me one story that you'd like to share with us from one of the rallies you went to?
Well, all the rallies really have such a big impact whenever people are coming together. It's really special and like makes me like influence in different ways. Like let's just say the rally for LGBTQ plus rights. I mean, we've had several rallies like whenever there was the attacks against like trans people and just LGBTQ people in general. I mean, just to go into those specific rallies were really eye opening to see like
Mm,
the visibility because people don't really see all the diversity that we have here
mm,
in Arkansas until we go to those events, and then you hear those stories about how these laws, I mean, these people vote on these laws, but they don't
mm,
really see the effect they have on these people until you go to these rallies and you hear the stories, and
yeah.
that's where it gets to you. Where like
Where
this person.
where do you think? So you just touched on something that's also been very concerning to me too, and honestly, just one of the this disconnect between politicians and their constituents, Why do you think that disconnect exists?
Because people, they're not getting out there and just going to all their different constituents. They're just listening to their base. They're not getting to hear concerns from other people. They're just mostly catering to their people and not the other
Mm,
people. And that's what needs to change here in politics is people
mm,
need to get out there. And that's one of my main focuses in this campaign is to interact with all the people in my district to get to know their concerns because I feel strongly that you can't represent
yeah.
people unless you know what they need.
Yeah. And yeah, you are. So I think so. Yeah, you're I love the fact that you're trying to get more people involved in the political nature of it, because I myself, I've seen a lot of friends, um, just kind of drop out of politics over, and part of it is, I think, I think a lot of them, honestly, I think a lot of people are so, brainwashed by a lot of mainstream media news outlets, whether that is MSNBC or Fox News, and I think that's causing a lot of, I don't know, if it almost feels like gaslighting, like on like like just on a large level, because people, there are these sources of information that we just uphold so much with so much honor and integrity, and we become afraid to criticize them, I think.
Yeah.
um and I'm going on that ramble because this is why we do the editing. I also become concerned that even those outlets have just having such a strong effect on the people in power, right? I almost part of me worries that, like, that these constituents just have no idea, or sorry, I mean these politicians have no idea of what their constituents want. Because they're so brainwashed by these mainstream media outlets, and also partly because I think they're taking a lot of money from those same interests.
Groups.
Yes, those special interest groups, which I actually, that's one thing I love, folks, because you are right that people need to get out there, get in the streets, I think, and I love that you're doing that. And actually, one more thing too, on rallies, where what would you say is a good resource for people to who are interested in maybe attending more LGBTQ plus rallies here in Arkansas, where trans rights, LGBTQ plus rights as a whole are consistently threatened? Where are there? Do you have certain resources or certain like say maybe websites, social media pages where people are connecting and organizing?
There's actually a lot of different groups. I'm friends with a lot of people on Facebook that are with different groups, so
Okay.
I'm fortunate enough to see those groups. But I mean, the Human Rights Campaign and Central Arkansas Pride and a lot of those type groups like that are always active. And I see their posts, and they talk about upcoming events. Different candidates, period, will post about different events coming up. So
Oh,
I try
okay.
my best to stay involved. There
All
is
right.
Facebook pages too for different LGBTQ plus groups here in Arkansas as well that you could
Yeah.
look up. And I share as much as I can on my social medias when I can about upcoming
Yeah.
events.
Yeah, and that's great. Like I said, that's a great way to get people engaged as well. And honestly, I think that's what's most important right now is just getting people re-engaged, I think, and getting people sort of refocused on again the kind of information that they're, because it was great. I also love the fact too you brought up how we're all organizing on Facebook, and there's still some ways that these social media companies are beneficial to us. But anyways.
The good and the bad. You take the good and the bad, right?
Yeah, good and the bad, exactly. So trying to think of where I want to go next now. Oh yeah, we were talking about the money. So we were talking about the money interest thing. The money interest thing, and I think that's very important. And whenever I think you listened to the interview with Dan Whitfield, you might recall that I've said it, and I feel like I said this 3 times because we actually had to record that. We had to record that interview 3 times, and as I say that, I'm making sure that we are recording on both ends here. I'm never going to live that down, having to record an interview 3 times with a guy like Whitfield and Sharif Snuggs. Just, man, that was a fun time. But anyways, Dan Whitfield was talking about how he's not going to be taking any money from corporate PACs. And he also did designate too that he probably will be taking money from PACs who are organizing around the policies that he's already voiced a lot of support for. How do you intend to fund your campaign? Do you tend to take any corporate PAC money? Because I tried to look on Open Secrets, and I guess I think you just announced recently that you were. I can't remember how recently it's been since you announced your run, but yeah.
It was back. I had announced my run back on January the 28th, but
Okay.
I don't take any corporate money from anybody. My donors are grassroots donors from across the state here in Arkansas, and I had lived in California for a very short amount of time as well for school, and so I had a couple of friends from there send me money as well. So, and then there's people from different states that send me money that I'm friends with. So I mean, it's a diversity, a very unique group of people that send me money, but it's all grassroots.
It's all grassroots. That's great. That's great. All right. Well, awesome, Grant. And like I said, as long as that corporate PAC money stays at $0, like, dude, welcome on the Kennel anytime. Because, like I said, that's what really that's my main concern. I think that's what I think it's what a lot of people. I think it's the best way to start looking at. I guess analyzing at where our problems are right now, because whenever I look around me, I just see absolute signs of I think the phrase that Kyle Kalinske used was imperial decline, I think. And I know Dan Whitfield, he even got away with referring, I don't know if you've heard about this, he got away with referring to the U.S. as an oligarchy on ABC News, or I think it was a local station in Arkansas. I think it was Fayetteville. I'll look it up later and splice it in here. But yeah, Dan. Anyways, so I'm glad to see that you're trying to do something that is very near and dear to my heart. I want to go. What I'm going to do now is, because I always think, it's just important to look at people's campaign pages, especially because oh yeah, and I forgot to ask too, how old are you?
I'm 28.
You're 28. Okay, so have you ever done anything in public office before?
This is my very first time. I just went to
Very
rallies
first.
before.
Very first time. Alrighty. Well, let me switch over to the source view here. So I'm going to start showing off your website. And I actually let me go back to the signal call here. Sorry. Let me share this with you too. I hope my computer. I can already see my computer starting to groan on me because it's kind of hard to record stuff and also stream all this stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Okay, can you see your website?
Oh yeah.
Okay, great. Let me go back to the.
It's pretty cool how you can do that.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I mean it's Signal, right? It's all free. Which, by the way, I also want to say this too. I have a family member who absolutely doesn't like Edward Snowden, and he's he's an internet security expert, actually. Doesn't like Edward Snowden, and Edward Snowden, both, I see these as like opposing enemies, right? Both of these people recommend Signal. Whenever I was talking to my family member, he was like, hey, look, Edward Snowden, broken clock twice a day, or was it a broken clock is right twice a day, and that's what he said regarding Signal. So I have it just boggles my mind that there are still platforms like Google Meet and Zoom who are having to charge like, I think, what is it, like $5 a month or something like that just to do the same service that Signal seems to be able to afford for free just fine. So,
really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so that's why I've just been kind of trying to stick to Signal because I love it, and I have a diverse group of a very diverse set of sources who are informing me on that. So I'm pretty confident in that. Anyways, TLDR, Signal's cool. So I'm on your page now, and I see a lot of great policies on here. So, of course, you have Medicare for All here. Medical debt is the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. 70% of the medical debt bankruptcies are from people that have medical insurance. Arkansans should never suffer because they get sick and possibly lose everything when they do. This pandemic has shown us how important it is for everyone to have affordable health care. Nobody should have to choose between medication and paying their bills. Arkansans have gone without after getting denied state insurance and had to pay high medical bills just because they can't get insurance, and that's unacceptable in 2022. So just tell us, like, and this is a question I feel like I kind of know the answer to because I always ask Dan Whitfield about this, but I want to get your answer on this. How would Medicare for All work?
Well, for one, I mean, everybody, I don't know the exact numbers because I'm not like a perfection kind of candidate at these numbers, but I know that we would pay for it. I mean, I know that cutting taxes or making the rich pay their taxes would benefit people by having a more budget to be able to afford healthcare. Yeah. I don't know the exact numbers like Dan and Sharif, is that his name, right?
Sharif, yes, but those numbers. So the numbers in terms of like actually paying for like how much it's going to cost people would be if I butcher this, I'll splice Dan's words in. So it's 4% for so if you're not even like meeting income, or I think it's like if you're making $29,000 or more. That's going to be 4% of your income, I think, and then it kind of increases from there. If I'm not mistaken, it might be the same plan that Bernie, and I remember Bernie Sanders, I think he had like a picture that actually like showed like, all the different tiers of how much percent would have. And of course it was like very reasonable, I mean, just like, the very, the people who are making the most money are having to pay the most, to help support a universal healthcare system. Now,
it's 4% after. What was the exact income again? It's 4% for. I couldn't remember y'all's exact numbers on that.
Hold on, so what I'm gonna do? We're just gonna look this up real quick in real time. We have the ability.
That is good to know that information. Honestly, Oh yeah, he has a. I don't know if you watched it before. He also talks about healthcare with Dua Lipa from the UK and how he was asking her like how much she pays for a copay and how much she pays just period to go to the doctors. She said, and she was like, "What's a copay?" They don't even have that.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't even know what a copay was.
That kills me. Didn't even know what a copay was. Wow.
Right. They don't have to deal with that over there.
I think I found it over here. I think I found it. Here it is. I want to view the file. Give me the file. There we go. Now, granted, this is from Reddit. I am going to say this is from Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt, of course. So how much would you pay under, this is Bernie Sanders' healthcare plan.
$29,000, okay.
So 0 to $29,000, you pay $0. If you are broke as hell, you pay $0 for your healthcare insurance. Zero. Me. Yeah, exactly. Me? Sounds like a good deal to me. If you're making $30,000, you know how much you pay? $40. This is all very reasonable. This is the plan that Bernie Sanders wants to use.
As we should.
As we should. It is unconscionable that there is anyone who is holding elected office who is ignoring this plan. Not even just ignoring, but actively denouncing this plan, because it means they don't know what they're talking about, or they want to deny you health insurance. They want to see you die out on the streets, and they wouldn't give one shit. One shit. Sad. Anyways.
Priorities.
It's easy to sit in this big cushy chair and be like, oh, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. But one thing that I love seeing any public official do is being able to cite those numbers, like as if they could do it in their sleep. Yeah. And I got ADHD myself, buddy. Like I even forgot those stats. Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, and that's me. But you gotta. It's all about being able to cite those stats whenever people say something like, "Oh,
right." I remember the 70% is what it is for that. But I believe it's 62 or something like that have health insurance as well.
Yeah, and
here's around that changes.
Yeah, and here's the crazy thing. So, actually, here's a good question for you, because you're going to be running for state representative. So you're running for state representative. You support Medicare for All, which is actually a federal plan. So, how much? I guess that's one question. How much efficacy would your how much efficacy would you even have in trying to get and I actually want to be very clear. I want to be talking about a universal healthcare system, because that's the thing too, Medicare for all. And this has actually confused discussions with many close people, with people who are very close to me, who confuse Medicare with Medicare for all, because they think, oh, it's just like taking this crappy Medicare system and expanding it to everyone. No. What it is making that crappy. It's not just expanding, just forcing everyone to take Medicare. It's reforming Medicare and then expanding it to everyone. Right. That's what Medicare for All really is. But because they're using the term Medicare, and because it does have such a negative connotation, understandably, because it's just so laden with so much bureaucracy, people do not like the term Medicare for All. So I actually very much agree with Dan. I actually very strongly support Dan Whitfield's idea of calling this healthcare for all. I think that's one way in which Bernie and the squad have kind of failed from the start. They coined the term Medicare for all, not healthcare for all. So I think it's very important. We were talking about the policy, healthcare for all. We don't want that Medicare shit. We want healthcare.
Right, exactly. And I mean, there have been a few states that have tried universal health care. In their states, it just hasn't passed. And when it did pass, there was roadblocks in the way from different levels of government, like California. California's governor was even advocating for it, but there's all these different roadblocks to it. So honestly, I think that we can expand healthcare at the state level for like Medicaid and stuff like that. But I feel like in order to really get it done, it needs to go like in the U.S. and at, like Bernie Sanders and have them pass it, because I just don't know how we're going to get it passed exactly from the state level, since other states have tried and it's just not working for some reason.
So one argument I had, and this actually with my good friend, we just kind of have this self-perspective. Yeah, no major party is representing us right now. So even for that fact, we love just sitting down and having discussions about that. It's kind of cool. But one thing that he had mentioned to me was, we make these comparisons a lot to Europe's healthcare systems, like the Scandinavian countries, England, France, all those places. They do have a smaller population size than we do. So in terms of administration, made the argument that maybe it may be better to do it at a state level if it's true that it's so successful over in Europe. And if it's true that, the part of the reasoning for us doing this, we want to try to emulate that system. Maybe you do have it run at a state level over here because that's more equivalent to the population sizes that you'd see over in places like Europe. This is where I kind of turn this to you and say, this is where I kind of turn to what you were just telling me. Well, it's also kind of hard to even get that passed here in the States, or just here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The only way it's going to happen is if we elect more progressive people, that are support policies such as that,
Yeah.
So we got to make sure we get those people involved that are supporting this.
Yeah. I want to ask you another question too, because I don't know if you've been keeping up with this. So Saturday, I got some very breaking news. Big news. You know who Jeff Stein is at the Washington Post? He's an economics reporter.
I know what the Washington Post is. Yeah. I don't know that. But
Jeff Stein. So Jeff Stein at the Washington Post, he's gotten a lot of things right about. When I mean right, I mean correct. I whenever I'm talking about politics, I always make sure I try to say correct and not right because I don't want people to get confused.
Right. Yes, correct.
Yeah, correct. Correct. Thank you. Nice.
Oh no, here we go.
Yeah, but right. So, what I wanted to talk about was Jeff Stein's report that Biden. Jeff Stein reported on Saturday that Biden is going to be releasing a minimum tax of 20% on billionaires. I think it's like the top 700 wealthiest Americans. That's what that initial report said. Just got a news. I got a notification on my phone. It's kind of why we're starting this recording late, because I got a notification on my phone in class that he is going to be doing that. He confirmed that today. It's going to be, though, to divert that to military spending. Now, I don't want to frame this as like because I've given a lot of, negative takes before on like, giving money over to the defense industry, the military industrial complex. Grant, what do you think of that? Before I, sort of go into mind, what do you think of that?
I mean, I think we spend way too much money on our military. I know it's important to have a military, but I mean, we have all these people that don't have health care. I think that we could use that to give people health care. Mm-hmm. I mean, what? And help starving children, help the homeless, help There's so many things we could use our money for.
There are 50,000 people I can think of every year who could use that health care. Now, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I want to, 2 months ago, I think our argument would have just ended at that. Yeah. However, there's also an opposite. Whenever we're having discussions about why President Biden is doing what he's doing, you also have to think about all of everything he's having to juggle right now with what's happening in Ukraine. Now, granted, we've already approved, I think, like about $1 trillion in additional aid to Ukraine. But I don't think it's any surprise to see at least some kind of an increase in military spending. I'm not like terribly surprised to see that, I guess, just because of what's going on in Ukraine. I figured there would be a bit of an increase, and okay, maybe. And I will admit this too. Maybe we should point this out as well. I mean, the internet came out of funding from internet experiments, through the military, right? For better or for worse. So there are useful things that can come from that funding, I guess, but right. This kind of increase this kind of increase in spending for the military, I'm kind of shaky on it. The only reason why, and like I said, the main reason why I'm shaking on it is because I was so overjoyed to see Biden finally stand up to billionaires. And honestly,
right.
hot take, whenever someone says the word billionaire, you have to add the word onto it before. I really think you do. I really think you do. I mean, these are the real pieces of shit in our society. If there's anyone who deserves any hatred in our society, it is billionaires, because there is no way that they fairly obtained that much wealth. Now, granted, I get some people say, oh, yeah, well, it was like technically legal for them to like evade, not pay those taxes because they were able to buy the lawyers. Yeah, that's a great point and all that, but you don't find that morally reprehensible that billionaires are paying more than, your average working citizen who's putting in, 12 hours a day down at
paying less, right? They're paying less than taxes than we are.
Oh yeah, paying less in tax. Yeah, my bad. Sorry, I'm getting really.
You're perfectly fine.
I'm getting really impassionate here about that. So,
hey, did you know that they did something similar in Arkansas too?
Wait, what do you mean?
They passed a tax for the rich here in Arkansas too to cut their taxes.
When did this happen?
This was some months back. I'll have to send you the link. But yeah.
Oh, I want to find this. I want to find this now. Oh my gosh, when did this happen?
It was a while back, but yeah, they did a tax cut for the rich in Arkansas with our budget. I forgot how much it was of a budget, but we had a surplus in our budget, and we used it to give a tax cut to the richest Arkansans, and for two, they used it to build a new prison in Northwest Arkansas, $60 million worth.
So they taxed the rich here.
No, they didn't tax the rich. They gave them a tax cut.
Oh, sorry.
You know that, right?
Did you hear about that? I did not hear about that. Tax cut for the rich. I did not hear about that. Oh my gosh, That's horrible. That's like
as if they needed it.
Oh my gosh. Yes, December 7th.
So they basically did what the U.S. Senate did when Trump was in office. Instead of it being at a national level, they did it at the state level here in Arkansas too.
Senate. All right, this is from ArkansasTimes.com. Senate and House committees. Wait. Oh, what?
Yeah, I hate their website, how they make you pay for it. But
okay, well, I'm gonna.
The Democratic Gazette does the same thing.
I will include a link. I will include a link to that article at the very least, so that way, people who are paying for that can find a way to access that, and also maybe send me a copy, please. Oh, education. Now this is gonna be very interesting, Grant. Have you been hearing what's going on at Henderson State University?
What's going on at Henderson?
Oh my gosh. Tell you what, I'm going to include a link because there's a whole thing going on. There's a financial crisis happening here at Henderson State, basically. In the year 2019, this was about 2 months before I enrolled here. Sorry, no, not 2 months before. 2 months after so I'd already signed up to go to Henderson State because honestly, it seemed like a really great place to me because it seemed like a nice, quiet place. There were enough events going on here to still be kind of a fun, cool thing for me to go to, all that stuff. It was nice. It seemed like a nice fit for me. 2 months after I enroll, I see this report, and I should have been a lot more scared of it than what I initially thought. But then again, we also know that COVID was going to happen because this is in like June of 2019. But basically, the entire board of trustees received a vote of no confidence from the faculty senate. And to be clear, because my language in the video that I initially made about this subject, I use the phrase they got canned. Doesn't specifically say fired, but officially they didn't get fired because you can't fire I don't think you can fire like a board of trustees or something like that. I think, anyways, they were given the board of trustees was given a vote of no confidence because they were wasting way too much money on BS stuff like a new set of dorms for a commuter college, and because you have to have the students in order to you don't build the dorms to get the students to come. You need to have the students first. Anyways, basic stuff that board of trustees, the people here at Henderson just didn't understand. They failed at their jobs objectively. And the guy who was the president, his name is Glenn Jones. You want to know where he's at now?
Where?
He is senior advisor to the president of Georgetown University. Yeah. So, given that, and here's the thing too, it was a very tough decision for me to come down to Henderson State. It was basically between coming here and going up to a very similar, in function, a very similar school called Truman State University, a state-run liberal arts college in Missouri. They were offering me about, same amount of money to go there too. But I really wanted a new experience, right? And I'm still glad I got that new experience. But anyways.
So you're from here, but you're originally from Arkansas, right?
Oh no, I'm born and raised. So I have family who live here. Yeah. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, actually.
Cool. I know a lady that lives there. She's my friend.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, great. Yeah. St. Louis is a great place. I'm actually going to be interviewing someone from St. Louis tomorrow, called, she works for this thing called Sands Bar. It's like this, it's this non-alcoholic bar that, it's kind of like a company that started in Austin. I don't know if they have like their official bars out there, but what Sands Bar is doing in St. Louis is they're doing like pop-up events. And so they did one at this improv, shop that is such a, by the way, improv shop in tell your friend in St. Louis, please come to the improv shop or go to the improv shop. It's just such a fun and welcoming place. Actually one of the books I have here, Truth and Comedy, has a lot to do with actually that interview style that I was telling you about whenever I emailed you. Hey, listen, real quick, I guess we'll probably get back to the education thing though, because I do want to focus on that. Okay. Right now, Henderson is having this problem where the state is just not going to want to give them any more money because of what the board of trustees did, and they're out of here. They're gone now, right? State of Arkansas is using that as an excuse to not provide us with any more funding, and so basically now we're just having to do a bunch of budget cuts because it's also come out too that we're like tens of millions of dollars now. We entered into COVID $6 million in debt.
Whoa.
So yeah, imagine how much worse that got over the pandemic.
But y'all are basically suffering because those people messed up.
Exactly, because those motherfuckers messed up.
That's not fair.
It's not fair at all. So here's what I want to ask: how are you going to advocate on behalf of not just Henderson State, but all of the state-run schools that, honestly, just to see? I went to a private Jesuit Catholic high school. It was an all-boys high school. To see the amount of stuff they can do here, with the amount of funding that it costs to send me to a private Jesuit Catholic high school for 4 years, it is amazing to see what even the people here at Henderson can do with such little funding. So how are you going to advocate on behalf of these objectively important institutions in the state of Arkansas?
Well, for one, I think in order to advocate for a specific school, you need to know like what issues are going on, such as you mentioning this to me. I think you need to stay involved and know and be in touch with these people at these different schools and know the issues that are going on so we can find solutions, because that shouldn't have happened for y'all. Y'all still deserve funding. Not it sucks that situation happened, but that doesn't mean you gotta just necessarily condemn the whole school and not give them funding because of it. I mean, there's always room to progress.
Yeah. I mean, I'm seeing some wonderful, wonderful professors with, incredible careers who have, I honestly think they still have wise things to share with students. And I'm seeing them not be able to even do that, because right now, all those faculty members, they're having to get furloughed, 20% pay cut. And they're having to come in 4 days a week, but still find time to like be able to do the college professor thing of communicate with your students, especially in person. I have I call myself Big Dog Ethan on here. I have a bone to pick with any politician who thinks it's a good idea to cut funding for education. I think it's one of the most important things that a government can ensure to its citizens. So
exactly, and we're at the bottom in education. The number changes. It was like 43 or something when I looked recently.
Yeah. Here's another thing about education. How do you plan to outreach to other college students? Because I think, if you are an advocate for students, I think you need to start reaching out to students. Have you reached out to any other students around Arkansas?
I reached out to UALR last night actually because one of my friends was telling me, because it's literally almost in my district. It's like not even a mile from the end of my district. So I reached out to them yesterday and waiting on an email back from them. But I do want to reach out to them and speak to their students as well and try to get them involved. And they might even be able to use that as experience. Because it's like, especially the political science groups.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
I want to be able to interact with them. They might use it as some kind of like volunteer experience,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Okay. I've got most of my passion. So that's all I can really say about education in terms of like stats. I don't read too much about, how it's, how well our education system's doing. I'm a little bit more informed on that in terms of, universal health care. That's most I feel like I can ask you about.
But still, we do have issues in the state where different states or different cities and different areas of the state get their teachers get paid really low, and then there's places like Fayetteville. What is it, 50-something thousand a year the teachers get?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's like an inequity. I don't know. Like, there's different areas, like rural areas that get way lower pay. So it really depends on like what part of the state you're at versus how much you get paid as a teacher. I feel like we need like a minimum pay for our teachers. Yeah,
absolutely, minimum pay for our teachers. And may I say this too, Grant? Here's an idea. So, the CEO of Walmart, does he like reside? Isn't like Walmart like their headquarters is here? Yeah.
Yeah, their headquarters is in Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas.
I can't imagine how much money they're pulling in. What could Arkansas tax? Put a tax on put an additional tax on massive corporations like Walmart who are located here.
Well, we just gave a tax to the richest Arkansans. I'm not sure about if we can tax the corporations at a state level, but we could definitely look into that because one of the things I want to do is reverse that tax cut for the rich and give it to the working class Arkansans.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm going to say this again because cross my heart, hope to die, not going to forget to include that link to that article because that does sound fascinating and very terrifying for me, especially whenever we consider this third topic that I also want to ask you about. Decriminalizing marijuana. I think obviously the drug war and even this bill that's given a tax cut to the rich so they can build private prisons. Oh God, that's how
that's exactly why Walmart needs to be taxed because they support that, right?
Oh, they support. Oh God, Walmart. Yeah, so the local Walmart.
They really do. You didn't know that there was a lot of protests in 2020 in front of the Walmarts because
really?
Of that reason,
no, I didn't know about that. Really? Like they were actually protests about that?
Yeah, there were protests. I don't know what exactly. There was some here in Central Arkansas. I don't know if they had any up Northwest or not, but
yeah,
there were some here.
Yeah, so in 20. You're saying that was 2020 or 2021? That was.
It was 2020. It was definitely 2020. It was during the Black Lives Matter protests. And all
gotcha.
That.
Well, at that point I was up in St. Louis. I was sheltering. I was sheltering in place at my sister's house. But yeah, man, that just brought back like a very different time.
I know. I tried to stop shopping at Walmart for quite a while. After that,
same here. Well, funny.
Target instead.
Yeah, I try to shop at Walmart as little as I can, but here in Arkadelphia, you got Walmart and you got Brookshire's. So if Brookshire's doesn't have it and you need it in a pinch, you kind of gotta go to Walmart.
It's really hard because a lot of working class people can only afford Walmart.
Exactly.
I think they use that to get profits, honestly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you're totally right about that.
So I'm not going to accept no
correct
money
about that.
Sorry.
No worries. I that's something I should be apologizing for because I find it I find people who are overcorrective a little bit annoying sometimes too, but then I do it myself. So I'm a hypocrite on that front. But I did want to ask you about going back to the marijuana thing. I think that is very important to address this. So you say decriminalize marijuana, but then the first sentence you say is the war on drugs has failed Arkansans. So let me ask you this. What is your, you want to decriminalize marijuana. Great. I support that. Dan Wheelfield does that too. Thumbs up. What about more?
that's what I mean though. Like when I say the war on drugs, I feel like that includes marijuana, and that's what I'm referring to when I say that. Maybe I should change the wording, but I just feel like that in particular is what I'm referring to. Is that's what I've heard it be called,
The
is the
war.
war on drugs
But
is
what?
the
Let me ask you this then: the war on drugs. So you have to keep in mind, the war on drugs isn't, focused on just marijuana, right? I mean, it's a war that's been carried out on a number of substances. Now, have you seen the interview with Dr. Carl Hart from Columbia University? He's been on a number of shows on both the right and the left. Actually, he's been on Fox News. He's been on Crystal Kyle and Friends, which is a it's an independent left leaning podcast, and he's also been on Joe Rogan show as well to talk about his experience with substances that are legalized in other countries where it's legalized, taxed, and regulated. And he finds that actually, and he's even found too that now that there are other places that are like opening up access to certain drugs, like we even, we've seen in Oregon, I think they legalized shrooms, if I'm not mistaken, and like decriminalized
you're right. I
all,
remember that.
and they decriminalized all drugs, not just marijuana. That was done in Oregon.
I saw that actually.
Yes, yes. So
I remember Joe Jorgensen was talking about it back in the day. Whenever my friend really supported her, so I looked into her stuff, but I didn't support many of the stuff she supported.
Yeah,
like, she did.
Yeah, absolutely.
She didn't really believe in like taking control of the pandemic, and that was really the main thing we were worried about at the time. So
which makes that makes all the sense in the world at the time. But here's what I want to get back to though. So to be clear, would you support decriminalizing all drugs and, decide to treat the issue of drug addiction as a mental health problem and not a legal problem?
I'm not sure about all drugs in particular, but I do know that we definitely need more mental health places and recovery places for people with addictions to different drugs. I know for a fact, that we definitely need to decriminalize marijuana and legalize it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how far I would go into different kind of drugs, but I definitely see where you're coming from though, and we do need to give people resources and not like criminalize people that need help.
Yeah, and to be clear too, I am coming from more of a principled stance of like, hey, listen, like I can't imagine. Look, as someone, I'm coming from more of the principled stance of, look, if I were someone who, had a terrible, horrible day and found myself in some kind of situation where I was offered a substance like that, I can't see myself. I can't see anyone. To be clear, I can't see myself or anyone, needing to be. I heard something like shift over in the kitchen. I think it might have just been some dirty dishes in the sink, but
it's a ghost.
Yeah, who knows? Around here, maybe. And that's joking because you can tell Henderson's a little more empty now already. It's kind of but and to be clear, I love everyone who's staying here and supporting Henderson State. I think it is a wonderful school and all of that. It's just we're going through a rough time right now. We got to be honest about that. I can't see anyone deserving to need to go to jail for that. Now, if they were to actually do something horrible or something that would like harm other people, then you got to judge that on a case-by-case basis, of course. But for nonviolent drug offenses, let me be clear here. For nonviolent drug offenses that doesn't involve like selling illegal and even actually dangerous substances like fentanyl, the people. Other than those people who sell dangerous substances like fentanyl, I think other than that, nonviolent drug offenders shouldn't be in jail. Now, granted, I understand that that's my principled stance, but I understand that there are some statistical concerns about that because you decriminalize it. Well, maybe that legal incentive for some people help them stay off drugs, right? Maybe
that's what I've had different conversations with people at work that I've talked to that have had addiction problems, and this one particular girl at work, she told me that it was a good thing that she ended up serving her time in prison for it because that was her way of rehabilitating. But I mean, I'm sure different people have different aspects and different ways to think about it though. I don't know.
This is gonna sound silly, and I don't want to sound. I hope I don't sound too immature, but maybe it could be a thing where, uh, you ask a person who is found, guilty of, who's found guilty of possessing some kind of substance. Maybe you ask them, hey, do you want jail or do you want mental health counseling?
Very good point.
Maybe it seems a little bit silly because whenever I phrase it like that, it's like, well, obviously I want mental health counseling. I don't want. Why the hell would I want jail? But
well,
then again,
that is a very good point, though. I mean, people do need help, and a lot of the times, like a lot of these prisons, they don't give the rehabilitation services that people need. So we definitely do need more resources when it comes to mental health centers and addiction centers.
And I'm pretty sure a universal healthcare system would absolutely help with that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, everything ties in together: poverty, healthcare, education, everything. It's all one another.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the worst segue here. You're talking about everything here, raising the minimum wage, specifically everything regarding this battle against poverty, right?
Right.
Minimum wage right here, I believe, is $11 an hour. Wink,
yes.
wink. If you go to a place like, I guess
Amazon or whatever it is.
What'd you say?
Well, somewhere like Amazon.
Yeah.
It pays higher, or Starbucks. Starbucks is even going up to $15 an hour this summer.
Finally, unions actually work. Did you know that's why they're rehired? Because did you hear that they rehired the initial I think it was the first CEO of Starbucks, I think, or something like that. And he is known for his anti-union tactics and union busting. It's anyways.
I know. I read a story a while back about union busting as well, and they were talking about how they finally got to unionize, but then they were also penalized for it too at the same time.
Yeah. And terrible, and the thing is, just raising the minimum wage, I mean, that could really solve a lot of the chaos that's resulting from these unions, right? Because if you raise the minimum wage, I mean, that could already be an incentive for a number of workers to say, okay, well, I'm comfortable going back to work now because I know I'm going to get $15 an hour.
Right. We need to pay people a living wage. I mean, we have so many people here in this state, including myself, that lives paycheck to paycheck and is, worried and stressed and everything about if they're going to make it or not till the next paycheck. And that's just sad. It's 2022 and people deserve better than that.
Yeah. The argument she was making on Twitter was because the tip system is wage or because the tip system is slavery, therefore don't tip workers.
What?
Yeah, it was bad. Anyways, so I don't know why I just thought of that whenever we were talking about the minimum wage, because I was reading about how you said you've had to work for minimum wages and tips.
I still work for tips at the moment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and
we get paid a decent amount, but I'm just saying you also get tips, so you get more than whatever it is an hour. But I'm just saying there are good days and bad, especially since the pandemic began. People are not tipping as much as they used to.
Oh yeah,
people just have a lot of money like that. It's there's good days and bad days, and people should have this minimum to where you at least get that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
we
that's
at least deserve a living wage.
Yeah, everyone deserves a living wage. Thank you very much. Yeah, that absolutely. And that's and the thing that's crazy is it may be Grant. It may be very soon. We'll see what happens with what Biden's doing with this budget plan because I will say this. I mean, what he's doing would also combat inflation, because what he's doing, he's taking money out of the economy and using it, I mean, that's money for the government, right? So that's a great way. I think that is a way that he's helping combat inflation by taking it out of, by taking some of that wealth out of these oligarchs. And when you think about it too, it also makes sense too, whenever you think about progression wise, because we just took a bunch of money from Russian oligarchs, right? In response to their war crimes in Ukraine. Now, if Biden were truly thinking objectively here, he would think, if we have, if you're thinking truly objectively, he would think, hey, we just took money from a bunch of Russian oligarchs who are hurting so many civilians of Ukraine. Why don't I take away a bunch of money from the oligarchs of our country whose theft hurts, I would argue, just as many American civilians. Whenever you think about like how much money they've probably taken away from the working class over 40 years. I mean, think of how many people have been deprived of health care, have been deprived of a good education because those funds were sitting in the pockets of billionaires, of greedy billionaires.
That's your word.
That's my word. If I say we're going to say billionaire, we say billionaires. But like that may be too edgy. I swear, I don't know. I feel like my response is if someone says, "Oh, I'm offended by you calling them billionaires," you're really complaining about me saying after in front of billionaire? Like, no, just anyways, I was also talking to yeah. And I was talking to you too about how I want to make sure that you have a place to feel safe while you're talking about your policies, right?
This is actually my first time interviewing, so this is pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is the best way to interview even politicians who are kind of getting a new start, right? I want to make you look good as best as I can, because honestly, because by doing that too, I can also kind of give you my feedback, and also, see. Also, I just get to see, how I don't know how hard. Because whenever I think about because I was thinking about AOC. I think whenever she was like first running for election, I think she got interviewed on Kyle Kulinski's show, which I'm a big fan of Secular Talk. I don't agree with everything he does, but I like his show. I think for the most part he gives he just does awesome stuff on there. But I was thinking about how he first interviewed AOC, and now we're here 4 years later still without having a universal health care bill passed through the House, and they the squad missed multiple opportunities to actually force a vote on that. I don't know. I guess like seeing that, I feel like it's like really important whenever someone is like first starting off to like run for office. I feel like it's just a good thing to like have them sit down and just like talk about their policies with random people. I think if you just keep doing that, keep doing what Whitfield's doing, and don't stop doing that. There was one of my favorite improv teachers. Like whenever I like first saw him after I left college, I came back and I was telling him about my troubles of trying to get an improv club started. And he was like, "Ethan, just keep banging on doors." And I've always found that advice has just like gotten me in life, or just gotten me successful in life, and I can see that with other people as well, like Dan Whitfield. Like I have a theater director or a former theater director. She retired recently. I came up to her, asked her about Dan Whitfield, and she knew about him too. And she also kind of keeps up with politics like I do too. So she had heard about him. So I think that means that Dan. I honestly do feel that Whitfield is probably I think doing the kind of thing that he's doing, things like this, I think that's going to be most important because, and to tell you this, I mean, if you go on like any mainstream outlet, I mean, you're going to have a tough time. You would be debating the very people who are taking funding from the kind of forces that your platform threatens, right? Universal health care threatens it threatens the power of health insurance companies.
With the Democratic Gazette, so that's going to be interesting.
You have a what?
An interview coming up with the Democratic Gazette newspaper here in Arkansas.
Oh, wonderful! Good thing I can say about the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. The people there, they were very, very, they were great responding to one of my complaints that I had because they had this article on like Glenn Jones thing I was telling you about, or the about the whole scandal that's happening here at Henderson State. Their initial article that they had was originally just like inaccessible, was initially inaccessible online. I had a lot of trouble finding it, but they were able, after like communicating with them, I was able to get that article back up. Anyways, that was, I talk a lot of crap about mainstream media on here. I just want to like point that out too, that like, hey, I've actually had I've had one good experience with Arkansas Democrat Gazette. So I hope I hope that interview goes well, goes well with them, and just, be sure, I would, if I like give like any advice for that interview, just be sure you can get those numbers out as fast as possible and make your point as quickly and succinctly as possible. Cause those people, they don't want you to sit down for an hour to, have full length discussions like this. They want to try to take like a minute blurb of what you said. So, make that minute count. Yeah.
Right. I
Yeah.
got you.
Alrighty.
I appreciate the advice.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thank you for listening, by the way, because like I said, I'm just a dumb college kid. That's just how, that's what I
No,
like. That's what I
do a
like
great,
in a politician.
you do a great job. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Oh yeah, and so I heard Whitfield talking about this next one here, protecting your right to vote. How? So I think this is a big one, especially in Arkansas, because I'm sure we've got gerrymandering as a huge, huge threat. Yeah.
Exactly. And one of the, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but one of the judges ruled those new maps as unconstitutional. So
Oh really? So the new
yeah,
map. So the
the
new.
one that, the ones that like split Pulaski County into 3 different congressional districts, they ruled that as unconstitutional.
Oh, okay. Well, that's is that what is that? So what does that do in terms of electability for non-corporate candidates like yourself? Was a decision to declare that map unconstitutional? Was it just because I'm not an expert on gerrymandering. The most I know is the districts are just redrawn in order to promote that of one political party. Yeah.
Right.
What would those what would that separation of the 3 districts have done?
Well, for one, I mean, it separates the Pulaski County into 3 different districts: North Little Rock, and different parts of the county. Period. And I mean, that's the minority base right there. There's like that's what it is. They're trying to silence the voices of the people of the county. Period. And the people of color. And they're like basically trying to, because they can look it up and they can see like who voted Democratic or a different party than the Republican Party, and then they can. It's really crazy how you can look it up, but you can look it up, and that's how they carved it out so that they would have a better chance of winning.
Wow. And I just that's terrifying. That people I remember I was watching there was a Democratic town hall debate in Hot Springs happening, or it wasn't a debate, it was I think it's just a town hall thing where people just get up and share their platforms. Not a debate, let me be very clear about that. I don't think we're at that stage yet. Or I don't know. We'll get to that in a second, but or
get some of the interesting for sure.
yeah, for sure. But gosh, what was I going? Oh yeah, they were talking about this very problem of how districts were being redrawn to to favor that of Republicans, right? So how? Let me ask you this, and how would you see if I guess you're going to be state representative. You would probably have it. Would you end up having a say in how these maps are drawn?
No, they have an independent board actually. I don't know if you've known this or not. But I didn't even know it. But
I'm embarrassing my American. I took an AP American politics class in high school, got an A, and then I'm probably embarrassing my teacher right now. I am so sorry.
No, you're perfectly fine though. But I mean, it's just all Republican held. I mean, it's like 3 people, and they're all 3 Republicans. It's like,
oh my gosh. Well, then
I think Leslie Rutledge is one of them. Yeah.
Anyways, that's okay. Well, that is also terrifying as well.
So what we really need is an independent board, honestly.
Yeah.
At least a Democrat or Republican and an independent or something like that. I mean, it's just
non-corporate. I would say non-corporate for sure.
Because we went up there, they would have different meetings with them to voice the concerns from the community, and I went up there and watched, and they were like, well, if we end up gerrymandering or blah 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 like you say, then you call us out on it. But then we're calling them out on it, and they were like, no, we don't discriminate based on race because it's against the rules. Well, you obviously do.
yeah, of course, yeah. It is just, well, think about this too. I mean, even just the state, going back to that crazy news event you were just telling me about a half hour ago with the state, state legislature here approving a tax cut to the wealthy so they could build a goddamn prison.
Well, that was just 2 things they did with our surplus. I mean, that wasn't well,
the fact that they even thought that was a good use of that surplus money.
I believe that prison was was one of the more worser prisons, like a confinement prison or something.
Oh God, that's yeah. So
and listen to this. Hold on one second. We are the fourth highest incarcerated state in the United States.
You ever listen to the song "Oh My Darling Don't Cry"? I've been listening to a lot of Run the Jewels lately. I don't know if you've listened to any of their music or not, but there's a line that's been going through my head whenever I hear something like that. It's, oh, they can eat my that's word. Anyways. Yeah, that's my response whenever I hear, because not only I would, maybe I could make a good faith argument for them if they were like trying to make like maybe a prison that had better living conditions. Maybe I could give them like, yeah, okay,
but
maybe.
The problem with
that,
though, is the fact that majority of those people in there are the non-violent offenses.
Exactly.
So, and even those people, like even the people that are in there, like a lot of the reason is because they don't have the money to pay the bail. So we're just imprisoning poor people at this point.
Oh my gosh, that's just terrible.
And then instead of releasing those people and cutting their fine down or whatever, we're just building a new one.
Yeah. Hey, here's an idea, Grant. Who would you say? So finally, the final thing on your policies page here is LGBTQ plus rights, and I can hear my computer really groaning now. So we've talked about LGBTQ plus rights. I think we have. So I'm gonna close
a little.
Yeah, just a little. So I'm gonna close that out now, so that way I can put your face up there on the big screen. Oh, and then also let me stop sharing my thing so you can see my face. So if you had to like name like. Because I always like this strategy for example, whenever it came to the Build Back Better plan, the negotiations about that. One thing that I liked that came out of that was the fact that we kind of made it commonplace in the media to really put a target on politicians' backs who would do such horrible stuff like that, like deny people, not even, I won't even say a living minimum wage. It's just like a poverty living wage at this point, I would say, with how inflation's going. Again, we'll see what happens with this tax, this minimum tax on billionaires. That could actually, maybe have, I think that could have a good effect on that. But anyways, my ramble's going on to ask, we normalize the strategy of like putting a target on politicians' backs who would do such horrible things like that. If you had to put like a target on the back of like who's one person you think that was leading the charge on funding, or not funding, but like giving this tax cut to this tax cut to the rich to build this prison. Do you know of like one person who like was sort of like who led that charge or
I said, yeah, that's all we need this article up.
Yeah, exactly.
For $2 and whatever cents it is.
Yeah. Sorry, I think you like kind of cut out there for a second. I didn't hear. What did you say again?
Hold on, let me decline this call. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Sorry, someone was calling me. Anyways, I said, shit. I don't forget what I was gonna say now.
It's fine. Hopefully I get to see it again. Wherever I'm like just editing it, so we can at least get that in there. What?
I said we gotta figure out we gotta figure out this article and get it posted up here so we can read more into it.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. We got to do that. It's only $2.10. I know, but it's like because I know I'm gonna forget to charge, and I have this problem of forgetting. Whenever I like have a subscription, I had that. I think the worst one was I thought I was only getting like a month free for Amazon Prime, and then and I was thinking, oh, and if I just I thought it was just gonna like charge me like $5 a month, kind of like what Spotify does with its student subscription. Oh no, Amazon just like takes that $70 away for the entire year. So, but anyways, I think that's all I really had to ask you in terms of policies. I think you have a good start for a platform. And I guess given that this is like your first interview too, I mean, honestly, I think, I think just being able to have those specific numbers and also just don't be afraid to take shots, man. That's what I like seeing whenever politicians like aren't afraid to take shots, for good principled reason. And when I mean take, like at, say like, oh, this person didn't do that. This person didn't do that. If you put like a rhetorical target on someone's back like that, it makes you look a lot better, I think, whenever you can command that ability to make people look good and make people look bad.
Right.
Yeah. Anyways, Grant, I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you so much for stopping by. And honestly, just thanks for all the work you're doing and running for office. I'm really glad to see that you're, taking some of your free, which if you're working, it sounds like you're working, you have like this other job that you're doing on the side too. I can imagine how much time and energy this is having to take you. I can barely sit down.
My mornings campaigning and then my afternoon, and so it's hard to juggle everything. But I mean, it's all. I mean, because I'm just trying to help people out, and I just want to let their voice be heard. Because a lot of the time that I've been going out here, everybody's like, I don't know who my representative is, and they don't feel like they're listened to, and they always are like so surprised to see me at their door, and I just feel like we need more of that, and if you're gonna, like I said before, if you're gonna represent someone, I feel like you need to know their concerns, and that's what I do. I go around and ask people like, what's the concern to you?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know, and I want to address those issues when I'm elected. So
yeah, get on the ground. Oh, yeah, and one more thing I've got to ask. District 77, where, is there, what's the biggest town in District 77?
Well, and most of it's here in the city of Little Rock. Like, it goes from West Little Rock. It stops at Bowman, Lowe's on Bowman Road. I don't know if you know Little Rock very well. And then it goes all the way south to the corner over here at Stagecoach Road and Baseline. So it's like very little bit of southwest Little Rock, this John Barrow neighborhood up into West Little Rock, and also almost all the way down to the UALR campus here at Little Rock. So
wow,
it's an interesting district the way they drew.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love it. So.
Yeah, well, that's great. Okay, and that's probably, I guess, that probably makes sense why you came to a Medicare for All protest. Then Little Rock. Okay, that's probably how okay, gotcha. Well. Grant, okay, awesome. Thank you so much for doing all this, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future. Let me know if there's anything I can do here at the kennel to help, I don't know, cheer you on from the sidelines, I guess, yeah?
Oh, yeah, thank you, Ethan. I appreciate it.
All right, yeah, thank you. You have a good one, friend.